Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Maximilian College Basketball Picks and Analysis for Saturday, January 17th. I'm your host, Max Hofmeyer, and I've got 5 games to go over for Saturday's mega slate. And I wish I had better news about the recap, but last show put up a stinker, 0-3 on Thursday. Had some chances, though, certainly. Youngstown had a halftime lead, could not get it done in the second half. Arkansas State they only had 68 points in the first half, but a 90-plus point second half, and eventually in overtime anyway, so it didn't matter. So just got, a little unlucky there, I guess, but, that's how it goes in this business. All you got to do is move on to the next card, hope for something better. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. And to start it off for the first play, we head to the Big East, where Villanova is kind of hosting St. John's here, as the game's actually not on their true home floor. It's at the Philly Flyers Arena. St. John's in the midst of a nice 3-game win streak here, and the reasoning has been simple. The defensive rebounding, they finally cleaned it up. St. John's in the non-con, they were allowing opponents 35% offensive rebound rate, which was 16th percentile. And now since the start of conference play, they've seen a 9% increase, on the defensive glass, pushing them all the way to first, actually, in the Big East in defensive rebounding. And, not only that, but they're first in turnover rate in the Big East and first in turnovers forced, while still maintaining their elite, 36% offensive rebound rates. So they've just been doing really well in the possession battle to start Big East play, and I don't expect that to change much here. Villanova, they were a good rebounding team early, but they've seen a drop-off since the start of conference play. Kevin Willard, he's done a great job with this Nova team, which, on paper is not that impressive of a roster. So the fact that they're 14-3, I think this Villanova team has kind of hit their ceiling, whereas St. John's, they might just be getting warmed up here, as they've been playing much better of late. So I'm going to go ahead and trust Patino here on the road to go ahead and get the win and cover the 2. And for the second play, we head to the Missouri Valley, where Valparaiso is plus 1.5 here at home versus Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa currently on a 3-game losing streak, which is, pretty unheard of for Ben Jacobson and a Northern Iowa team that's always very consistent in the Missouri Valley. So it's, it came to no surprise that over that 3-game losing streak, 2 of them were unlucky where we expected them to be wins. And those 3 teams that they lost to, all respectable opponents, top tier Missouri Valley teams in UIC, Bradley, and Belmont. Valparaiso, not a team that takes a lot of good shots. This is a team that shoots a lot of mid-range, and that poor shot selection really showed up in the last time that these two faced off, as Valpo only scored 48 points in that one and a 10-point loss at Northern Iowa. And even in that 10-point loss, they did something that was kind of unexpected, plus 11 in offensive rebounds and plus 2 in turnover. That's something that I wouldn't expect to happen again here, as Northern Iowa is great at taking care of the ball, and they're the best in the conference in defensive rebound rates. So that was definitely a shock, and I think it was an outlier here. So I am going to go ahead and take Northern Iowa to snap the 3-game losing streak and win this one on the road and cover the 1.5. And for play number 3, another Hawaii game. They were on the card on Thursday. You might have saw that one in the recap. They blew out Cal Poly, but that was one that we expected to be much, much closer. And UC Santa Barbara off to a 3-3 start in conference play, but they have recently gotten a bump from the return of their point guard, Miro Little. And not only does the offense get a bump with him on the floor, but I think the key factor to his return has been their turnover rate has dropped pretty significantly with him on the floor, and turnovers really hurt this team when he was off. And UC Santa Barbara, they're one of those teams that have very significant home road splits as well. And, the main reason being they're shooting 44% at home from deep in their 8 home games compared to just 34% on the road. And Hawaii was just a team that was a big benefactor of poor shooting, as Cal Poly was 8 of 32 from deep. So I just don't see that happening here again. So I'm going to go ahead and trust UC Santa Barbara to get it done, cover the 2, and win this one outright on their home floor. And for the fourth play, head to the SoCon, where East Tennessee is -2.5 on the road versus Samford. ETSU was a team we faded on Wednesday versus Western Carolina, and a lot of those same principles are going to apply here. ETSU, they allow a bunch of three-point attempts, and they've really benefited from poor opponent shooting in conference play, only allowing 27% from deep, which I thought was just a little unsustainable. And I think we saw that with Western Carolina, and I think we see it here again with a Samford team that's better three-point shooting than Western Carolina. ETSU, they've also taken advantage of their easy schedule and forced a ton of turnovers, but Samford's fourth nationally in offensive turnover rate. So they really take care of the ball. And that's why this 2-3, SoCon team for Samford is expected to be more like a 4-1 team. So I'm going to go ahead and take Samford here plus the 2.5. I think they get the home win here as well. And for the final play, we got a Big South matchup between Winthrop and UNC Asheville, where Winthrop's laying 4.5 on the road. Winthrop off a massive victory on their home floor, beating High Point 92-75 to move to the 4-1 conference play. Asheville's usually top of this conference, but they really struggled to start the year. In the non-con, they were only 3-7 versus D1 opponents. And the main reason being they couldn't take care of the ball and they were bad on the glass. But since the start of conference play, they've really cleaned up both of those, being they're top 4 in the SoCon now in turnovers forced, offensive rebound rate, and defensive rebound rate. So they've really cleaned it up of late. And not only that, but they've also been about 12 points better per 100 possessions overall since the start of conference play. So I think they continue that here, and I think they're able to compete with Winthrop, who is just off a massive win. So I think it's a good spot as well to take UNC Asheville here at home plus the 4.5. And that will do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe as you don't want to miss any future episodes. Enjoy your Saturday loaded with college basketball, and best of luck.